What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cinema Royale, coming to you on a Tuesday. Tuesday. That's what kind of week it's been. How's it going, man?
It can't have been but so bad. We're only at Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
The weekend ain't barely started yet, man.
I know.
You got a long way to go. If it's bad already, then you're...
Let me tell you, man, I'm one of those cats that the worst time of the week for me is Sunday it used to be Game of Thrones, but now it's Sunday at about 5 o'clock when I realize all that's left to do is eat dinner, go to sleep, and wake up for the work week. Game of Thrones was the biggest double-edged sword, and I talked to other people. This is the Game of Thrones phenomenon is what I'll call it. Patented, trademarked me. Where people would watch Game of Thrones, and then as soon as those credits hits, the sound of those credits would trigger depression because they knew there's nothing left this weekend except to go to work.
Well, maybe now that's going to be like Lovecraft Country, because that's the show that's on Sundays now. I didn't watch it yet, though. I've already heard good things. So
yeah, I think we talked about this briefly a couple weeks ago, but as a certified horror geek, it's kind of shameful for me to say I don't know much about H.P. Lovecraft. I know Cthulhu. I know a lot of horror and gothic stuff comes from there. But as soon as I heard Lovecraft Country, I was like, that sounds like I'm going to be in. And then you look at the trailers, and it's so much more layered and so much more deep than you'd expect it to be. And HBO seems to be really on a tear and giving voices places that usually didn't have them. It started with Watchmen, which was groundbreaking. Showing things like the Tulsa Massacre that not nobody knew about, people knew about it, but it wasn't common knowledge because, shocker, they don't teach that in school.
Yeah. So, welcome to Tuesday. How are you doing? Okay?
Welcome to Tuesday. Yeah, man. It's another day. You guys can all donate to us somehow, so you don't have to see me like this anymore. My depression can clear if I don't have to work a day job. It's up to you, people.
Just tell everybody who goes to the site to click on one ad while you're there.
Yeah, just one. I swear, no viruses, nothing. Just click on an ad. You don't have to buy anything. Just click on it.
Anybody goes to punchdrunkcritics.com, click on one ad, and
yeah.
Every time you go, and you'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Right-click, open a new tab. You can still read us, and you do us a favor at the same time. That's all you have to do.
Exactly. So what's on tap for today?
Well,
you got the rundown. I know we're going to talk about Project Power, which is the biggest movie that came out last week, I think. Or at least it's one that people are really seem to be talking about.
Biggest movie since Old Guard, I'd say, really. I mean, as far as buzz.
Man, this has been the summer of Netflix blockbusters.
Yeah. They saw their opportunity with COVID, and they really seized it.
They've been wanting to make themselves the home of blockbuster movies, and so far they've done it with Extraction and the Old Guard, and now this, and that's the kind of thing they're going for. And it's working out because they're getting the most viewership they've ever had from these movies.
Yeah.
So it's good for them, and they're buying up more blockbusters. So how long is it before they have like a $300 million Christopher Nolan film? Probably not that far away.
No, the man was it the Gray Man? Is that that's going to be $100 million blockbuster that they're putting. So that's a game changer. That's the kind of.
Irishman was about $200 million, wasn't it? Irishman was a lot of money.
Yeah, but I think The Irishman is kind of like, you could look at that as a once in a generation type movie if you on paper before it came out.
Nobody would see it anyway.
Well, right, but if you put those names together in a movie, Netflix is going to say, yeah, that's going to be our iconic thing. But with The Gray Man and with movies like Project Power, Netflix is really showing that not only can they perform, but they can be successful with the types of movies that used to require a box office opening. And that coupled with Mulan, I don't know if we talked about that last week or not, but Mulan has been slated for Disney Plus. It's a $30 upcharge. I did find out that $30 upcharge gives you access to the movie for the life of your account, so it's not even rental. But if that works well, that's going to be major paradigm shift in releasing, because everybody right now is holding at the line, scared to death of what to do.
Yeah, Disney updated this whole thing with Mulan and talked about what this because it's called premium access, and they updated what premium access really means. Like you said, you can pay $29.99, you get access to Mulan early.
Right.
But that key word right there is early, because it suggests that it will be coming to Disney Plus under normal circumstances.
Right.
Probably pretty soon, I would think.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can look at. I mean,
it's
you've already.
going to depend on how many people are buying it. But
right.
Clearly, if because there are a lot of people I know who are, and these people are. I mean, they're people I know, and I hate to call them stupid, but they're stupid. Who are complaining about the $30 charge, and and I'm just like, if you went to the movies at all to see Mulan, you would pay $30.
Yeah, I mean, there's a mental block.
You would pay $30. If you take one or two people with you, you're going to pay $30 anyway. And Disney has to. This is the exact same freaking conversation we had when it came to Trolls World Tour and Scoob and all these movies that cost more.
Yeah.
To digital. Was that is the exact same conversations. Like, the studios have to cover for the fact that you can watch it in your house, and you might have 10, 20 Bamas up in that joint watching it.
Right. You might have your own drive-in in the backyard, and you're paying for 2 tickets. That's all it is.
What if because most of these movies are all family movies.
Mm-hmm.
What if you got 5 people in your house? What if it's like you got 3 kids or 2 or 3 kids?
That's the thing.
Lost revenue for them.
Nobody's only buying 2 tickets for Mulan or Onward or Scoob. Nobody's buying 2. They're buying at least 3 or 4. Yeah. And if you really don't want to pay the money, then you just look at the precedent that's been set with Onward, which it might not really be the precedent because we know that wasn't selling like hotcakes, but it wasn't even a month later that it was on for subscription. So not only are you getting these things at home, but also the decay rate for when they go from theatrical or early release to wide release is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So when people complain about that stuff, I try to tune it out, man. I'm sorry, I'm yawning today. I'm tired.
Yeah. I mean, you've been on the battlefield all day.
No.
I know you want to talk movies, but before we get into movies, I gotta talk. I noticed that on your Twitch stream, I've seen pop it up a few times. Cinematic_Enforcer. Make sure you go follow Travis on Twitch. I noticed you've been playing the Marvel Avengers beta. What's the early take? What's the hot take?
I played the Marvel Avengers beta for a couple of days. It's closed now. I love the graphics in it. I think the graphics are really great, but the gameplay needs a lot of work. The fighting is pretty simplistic and repetitive. I don't know if you remember those Marvel games that are like on the Switch. I can't remember what they're called.
Ultimate Alliance, yeah.
Ultimate Alliance games. It's not that much different than that.
Oh, okay.
The environments are vast. Some of them anyway. At least a couple of the ones we saw in the beta are vast, and a couple ones are really tiny, really short.
Right.
But they're also pretty generic, so they don't really impress you that much. It's kind of cool playing certain characters, not so cool playing other ones. I really had fun with Black Widow. She's fast. She's got some really agile moves, cool moves. Hulk is pretty fun, and Captain America's pretty fun. But like Iron Man and Thor, kind of got to take them or leave them.
See, I think Iron Man would have been the most fun with everything at his disposal, but no.
And the game, it's got a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches. The most recent stream I did of it, we ended it because the board we were on, characters that were supposed to spawn that you had to defeat to get to the next area, they just didn't spawn. They just didn't spawn, and we would have been running around that joint all night if somebody hadn't come into the stream and like, yeah, the characters you're looking for, they didn't spawn, so you guys are just kind of stuck. And now it's like,
well, that's terrifying because if there's anything the last few years, good.
But that's what a beta is for. The beta,
right.
The beta is for that, and that's the one thing I kept bringing up to the people when we were playing. It's like we forget we're sitting there playing this game, and they give you a lot of game in the beta. The beta has a lot of stuff in it. I was like, we're playing it, and we're playing it, and we're playing it, and we're forgetting that this is a beta. We're supposed to be looking for bugs.
Right. But the beta usually comes out 6 months prior to the release, and I don't know if they've updated, but the release date's September 4th. That's not even barely 2 weeks.
It's not a lot of time. Yeah, it's not a lot of time. You're right. But they did make changes between the PS4 beta, which was like a week earlier,
Yeah.
Maybe a week or two early, and this beta. So there are some small changes that they made between then, so maybe they'll have some fixes.
I just hope they do,
because
because
they already know what these fucking bugs are anyway.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure they already know.
They're not going to put it out to the public.
See how bad it is.
Yeah. They're just stress testing at that point, really. But I mean, with if there's anything the last 10 years told us, it's you don't pre-order games, and everybody hates loot boxes, and you don't pre-order because no matter, they can release it as shitty as they want to. And that's what we've seen a number of games for. It's a famous one, isn't it?
Prime example.
Mhm.
Prime example. I'm one of the handful of people who's still playing it. So.
Yeah.
And when WWE Battlegrounds comes out in a few weeks, who knows?
That looks so good. I have not wanted to play a wrestling game so much until I saw that one since like Royal Rumble. What was the one that it was in the arcade, but they also ported it where you get the characters in like Doink, you hit somebody with a sledgehammer, or like Undertaker hits you with a tombstone.
Like the WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble games.
Yeah. Those are rad. WCW also had some.
I think In Your House had stuff like that too. But
right.
But yeah, no, those are going to be fun. All right, video game talk is over.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the movies that came out last week. So let's talk about Project Power.
Yeah, man.
Which is Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This is the second movie in a week that takes place in New Orleans. The other one is Cutthroat City, which comes out this week, and we'll talk about that this weekend. They look very similar. Like they're two movies that really explore the kind of same topics.
Right.
One has superpowers in it.
Right.
John. I'm weird, John.
Sorry.
And basically, this is like every run of X-Men you've ever seen, where somebody creates a drug that gives regular people superpowers, and of course it's not. Of course, it ends up being a disaster. But what's interesting about this is that they do it. They use New Orleans post Katrina as like the laboratory, as the testing ground for this sort of thing.
Right.
And it really does sort of parallel like the rise of crack cocaine in the 80s. When it was kind of dispersed throughout black communities. It really does kind of have that feel, and you could tell that's what they were going for with it.
Right.
So when you think about some of the ways it mirrors some real life stuff, Project Power is a little bit richer of a film than it turns out to be. But overall, it's mainly just meant to be sort of a summer blockbuster action movie.
Right. And
not much more than that. Like I said, the parallels to real life stuff is there if you want to think about them, but the movie does not really go in deep on that stuff.
No. No, it was very surface, but
really cool visuals and stuff too.
Yeah.
More than I expected it to. The powers, of course, flare out of control for most people. So you get some pretty nice looking action scenes.
Yeah, I mean, one of them is right above us in the media that we have up here is Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a close call with a criminal. He plays a cop that's with the possibly best of intentions is taking this drug. There's a drug called Power that, like Travis said, will give you superpower for 5 minutes when you take it. You don't know what power you're going to get. Possibility you could just explode, or you could become a guy that's made of fire, or become invulnerable. And it was a cool take. It was. Oops. Hold on for me 1 second there. I think we lost something. We're coming back in. No, we're good. We're back in. We're rolling.
You're back. Okay.
Yeah, we just had a few seconds. Travis's special power is shutting down the stream, so that's what he did.
I had nothing to do with this.
But it's it's a really.
I was just telling anybody who is listening that the image you were frozen on is perfect.
It froze on me again, did it? All right, I'm gonna keep an eye out next time. When we're getting ready to start our show and you're knee deep in Overwatch, looking off to the side, and I'm gonna get a real choice thumbnail, and I'm gonna put that as our top level one.
See, I don't get all bent out of shape about it though, so I don't care. Sometimes I stop them on bad images of me, and I use those snapshots. I don't care.
I'm not as cool. I like to be a pretty girl.
What's interesting about this movie, you know who directed it, right?
Now I'm questioning myself.
I mean, it was directed by Ariel Schulman and Henry Joost. I mean,
oh yeah, the
guys,
Catfish
right?
guys. Yeah.
Those are the guys who did Catfish and a couple of Paranormal Activity movies. They did Nerve. Their movies are always high energy, do a lot with technology usually. Or and this movie kind of feels that way too. It has a lot of energy to it.
Right.
So not a lot of time to breathe in between action scenes and stuff like that. So it's a good film for them. I haven't liked a movie from these guys in quite a while.
Yeah.
Good look.
I didn't even. I mean, I know who those guys are, obviously, but I didn't even know that they directed. I must have missed that. But I mean, I thought Jamie Foxx. I guess I just really don't. I really underestimate the guy. I mean, I know he's a great actor. I forget how likable he is and how much I like seeing him in these types of roles. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt, as maybe I'm missing something. I'm sure I'm missing something clear, but he's never played anybody with a real edge to him. He's always very clean cut, clean shaven, button down type of guy. And he actually played the role of rogue cop, a lot better than I would have given him credit for.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it's not that far from the role he played in the Dark Knight Rises.
No, but he had more of a 5 o'clock shadow, and he wore a Saints jersey, so you have those things.
Well then,
yeah.
I mean, he's good. He's good in these types of roles. The thing I liked about his character, and he plays like John said, he plays a sort of a rogue cop. Jamie Foxx is a guy who's initially called the Major, which is interesting. He's called the Major, and he's either trying to stop the flood of superpower drugs, or he's trying to get in on it. They kind of tease that as a mystery in the beginning of the movie. The other major player in the film is Dominique Fishback, who people might remember from The Deuce, and she was in a really good film called Night Comes On a couple years ago. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, he's not your typical rogue cop. Like he's not he's not exactly wild and crazy. He's there trying to protect his city and defend his city. And it got me thinking of him being revealed as like Robin, sort of at the end of The Dark Knight Rises.
Right. Yeah, I can see this parallel.
I was like this is what it would have been like for him. He would have been defending Gotham City instead, though.
Right.
Rather than New Orleans.
Yeah.
But the movie's really about, who are the real power players and things like that. What happens when people who have been beaten up by life, and these people who have been shunned by the government, looked over by the government, what happens when they get a little bit of power? What happens to the real people who are in charge? What happens then? It's an interesting premise. The movie doesn't do a lot with that stuff. It's mostly action, which to me is fine. I was okay with it. I thought it looked great. So I was surprised by how much I enjoyed Project Power.
Yeah, I mean, this is right up the alley of my type of favorite turn your brain off action movies. And what they did with the concept, I thought it really brought it down to the real world. I mean, a lot of comic book movies try to make their gritty, real comic movies, but this one actually did a really good job of it. But like you said, it is pretty surface. But Dominique Fishback's character, and I didn't realize that she had been in anything else, but they did something in this movie kind of subtly, and maybe it was just me that it really clicked for. But they always try to show not the good side of drug dealers, but that people can deal drugs for real reasons. That there are no other options, and if you need something, you need to get it. And they have a nice little side story with her. It really makes her character kind of tragic, certainly, but empathy abounds for her, and the reason she's out there in this story in the first place. So
messing with my lighting.
Putting the mood lighting on, I see.
yeah, it was pitch black almost. I turned a little lamp off for just a moment. Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of these movies set up. And the movie that comes out that I was talking about this week, Cutthroat City, is a lot of the same stuff. In fact, their themes are virtually identical. But yeah.
Is there anything about Cutthroat City that you want to bring? I didn't see it, unfortunately, but I'm going to
save Cutthroat City for later in the week. We got enough to talk about. today.
Okay.
I'd like to add that in there too. But I think we both give a thumbs up to Project Power.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I'm sure most people have probably already watched it on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think it's interesting because we were just talking about how people are complaining about Mulan having to pay a little bit of extra money. It's because of movies like this that people complain about having to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because they don't because they're so used to getting movies like this, and not having to pay any kind of extra fee that they get all bent out of shape.
Yeah, but if you can't admit to yourself,
it was never supposed to like go into theaters, like it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was always meant to be Netflix, as far as I can remember.
Right. And even 20 years ago, Project Power, I mean, the movies that you should expect to see for free on Netflix are those $8 to $30 million action movies that you used to see all the time. That would come out, a bunch of them in January, movies like the Punisher movies that came out, anything with The Rock in the early days, like The Rundown. That's the kind of movie you're going to get for free. But you got to expect, or you got to admit, rather, there's a difference between Mulan and Black Widow and Project Power. I mean, it's just two different tiers of film.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next?
Well, Joe Keery, I mean, for Stranger Things, he kind of broke. Well, I guess he was still kind of a dick, but he was everybody's sweetheart from Stranger Things. Started out as a guy that you like to hate, and then became everybody's favorite nanny. He's in a movie called Spree. And
this was at Sundance this year, and I remember it. And I didn't watch it at Sundance, though. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Keery. So usually when a movie at Sundance has somebody leading it that I don't particularly like, I usually avoid it.
Right.
Sundance is one of those things where it's like, I got a limited amount of time. Do I want to waste it on an actor I don't like? So
right.
I didn't go see Spree, although I did hear a lot of buzz about it.
Yeah.
And for good reason. I actually like this quite a bit. Joe Keery, and I liked him in it too. Joe Keery plays a rideshare driver who is obsessed with social media fame.
Recurring theme this year.
He's trying to build up the numbers on his Twitch stream too.
Mm-hmm.
But he's having no success. Nobody's paying attention to him. Nobody's watching.
Right.
So he creates this thing he calls The Lesson,
and
basically it's just a murder plot to kill people that get in his rideshare. That's really all it is, and he's going to live stream it.
Yeah.
And when he finds out that people still don't give a shit, that they're still not watching, even though he's killing people,
right,
it drives him wildly over the edge. I had a lot of fun with this movie, man. The what it's going for is not new.
No.
Social media It's about the poison side of chasing fame,
right?
Especially internet fame, and what it can do to you. But I did like they sort of contrast it by having the lady from SNL play the comedian. Whose name I forget. I always forget her name.
Not Sashir, no.
Isn't that it?
Sashir Zamata, yeah.
Yeah. Playing a comedian who has used social media to build up her career, and it's worked for her, but now she's starting to regret the notoriety that she has. It's a nice contrast, but generally, I just like the fact that the movie is over the top and crazy and a little bit silly.
Yeah.
That's what I had the most fun with.
I mean, it definitely delivers. It definitely delivers on that front, like being over the top. I think if I had seen this at Sundance, I probably would have liked it a lot more. And that's just to clarify. I did like the movie. I had fun with it, but I think it would have had more of an impression.
This is the perfect festival bubble movie.
Well, the thing is not so much the festival bubble. It's just that the stuff that's come out since then. How many movies about rideshare and or social media, what people will do for social media, have come out since between now and January? It feels like at least 3 or 4, right? So by the time we get Spree, it feels old. I mean, even what it reminded me of a lot was I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was Black Mirror. In the latest season, I'm not sure. But it was a guy with a ride share who gets told to do different things, and he has to, or else bad things are going to happen. But more of the story is not that the name of that episode, but that I've seen it so many times as of right now that I couldn't even pinpoint the different places I've seen. But Joe Keery he is extremely charismatic. He's fun to watch in it, and he really kind of takes it all in this role and like eats into it. So if you're a fan of Stranger Things, I think you'll definitely like it. But if you just want to see a crazy, it's not Crank crazy, but it's a crazy over the top movie that tries to be topical, but maybe be a little bit too late to make a real impact.
It's topical. I mean, rideshare drivers. I mean, there was a story not that long ago of an Uber driver who committed a series of murders. I mean, stuff like that. In fact, they even reference it in the movie,
which is disturbing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's topical. It's not saying anything particularly new, but it doesn't really have to. It's more bleak comedy more than anything else. There's something else about it that I really like, and I can't think what it is now, but it doesn't really matter.
Was it seeing Misha Barton for the first time in years?
I mean, she still acts pretty regularly. She's just not in anything big. I mean, and Misha Barton was there. I mean, honestly, almost like playing, poking fun at herself. The other person in the car with her was Ariana Grande's dumbass older brother, who was an internet celeb.
Pete Grande? Pete Grande? I don't know what his name is.
I think it's Frankie actually, or Frankie Grande, or something like that.
Taco Bell Grande?
He was on Big Brother, so that's why I first saw him. But yeah, so the movie is clearly winking at us by casting these specific people, because Misha Barton is another one who has had her share of celebrity that is kind of
backfired, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. So it's clearly winking at us in a certain way, and that's kind of how the whole movie goes. So if you're up for that style of film, then Spree is a fun one to go with.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess we're on the news then.
Really? Is that it? There's nothing else that came out last week?
That's all I saw. We do have reviews for The Sleepover coming next week, and then Tesla and a few other things, I'm sure. I know you wanted to keep this show a little short.
Well, that was yesterday. I mean, that was Sunday, but
okay.
But no, it's fine. It's fine. We can cut it short.
Well, you know the news that I want to talk about the most is who's playing Soldier Boy in season 3 of The Boys.
I have no interest in that. Oh yeah. So what else came out? Let me just look at what else came out last week real quick.
All right, man. Yeah.
Do a quick breeze through Boys State, which is the political documentary, which is getting all the raves and might be the best documentary winner at the Oscars next year, I think. I absolutely love this movie. Of course, I'm a politics fiend, so I love movies like this.
I don't know.
It made me wish. Basically, it's about 1,100 boys who descend on Texas for this annual event, where they create their own mock government, basically. Hold the campaigns for the major political positions, including Texas, including governor. And you see all these different perspectives on politics, and you see how teenagers view our politics now. And it's really interesting, and it made me wish I could have participated in something like this when I was younger. In fact, it makes me wish they would do something like this for adults now, because adults need this shit more than anybody right now, because nobody knows a goddamn thing about how a government works.
No.
It's like no one ever took civics class. Like no one does take civics class anymore.
No. And that's the scariest thing.
It used to be an obligation when I came up in school.
Well, you had to pass the citizenship. You had to pass citizenship test in 9th grade, right? I know I had to. In Maryland schools, we had to pass the. We took
I never had to do that, but we did take civics class.
Right.
We took civics and history were the two classes we had to take.
Yeah.
And I hated civics class back then, but now I'm glad I took that joint, because I understand how government works.
Well,
I understand what's happening, and people don't know. People don't know. They all need to see how a government works from the inside.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic movie.
That's the heart at everything we've got going on is people not taking the time to educate themselves or understand how the country is run. I mean, you got plenty of people that'll voice their opinion on Facebook, but then look what happened with Bernie. Not to get into stuff, but huge following, no votes. Nobody even gets the point that you have to actually go out and vote. Your Facebook poll doesn't matter. And past that, everybody's just taking what their buddy says or their group says. They're not looking at anything themselves. So at a minimum, they need to know how this stuff works.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is that it's it's not understanding. I see this all the time on Facebook, and it always blows my mind. Something passes the House, and people act like it's passed, and I'm like, no, like there's more that needs to be done. Our bill is passed.
Or
like got through the House doesn't mean anything. It still needs to get through the Senate, and then it needs to be approved by the president. So that doesn't mean shit.
Well, that's like when Obama was in office. Like you would have thought Obama was emperor and king based on what some Republicans and stuff were saying that he's going to do this. He can't just do that. The president doesn't have that kind of power. He can't just do that. You got to understand how it works.
Can't do it.
Talk about
Can't do it unless it's an executive order, which I don't want to get into that subject either.
Yeah.
But
how do we get on politics again? I feel like we've been falling into that trap a lot lately.
It's the week. It's DNC week, man. You gotta talk politics.
Those are the stupidest things, the biggest waste of money in the world.
What are you talking about?
Well, let's do a political moment. What function do conventions serve? Republican or Democrat? They're basically giant coronations for their candidate, right? Especially in today's world, polarizing, you're not changing minds.
It's only a part of it. No, but what they do is they rally your base. The main point of a convention, of any of these conventions, is to energize your base.
Okay.
And every base needs to be energized during these long-ass presidential campaigns. They all need it, and that's the main thing these are for. But the side thing, the thing they also do is present your future. When did all of us first see Barack Obama? It was at a DNC.
Right.
We gave that fucking speech. I think it was in 2006 maybe. That's what these things are for. So they serve a purpose.
So I'm not wrong. It is.
Now the RNC's conventions. I mean, those are mainly about closeted gay men going out and trolling for sex. That's usually what they're for, more than anything else. So, and you can look at the Craigslist ads in those cities to prove it.
Is that legit? Like, have they looked that up and found that out?
Yes, man. It's always funny because if you listen to the radio, and I always do. Every time the RNC or whenever they have their convention or anything, they always people always go and start looking up the Craigslist ads when there's a sudden flood of people looking for anonymous gay sex. No, it's always funny. There's always an uptick.
I can't with you, man. Oh, Jesus.
And the funny thing is, they always hold it here at the National Harbor. So it's always.
So we know where Travis will be that weekend.
Right. Hey, I've always wanted to go to that event, not the RNC presidential joint, but the joint they hold every year. I've always wanted to go to that just because I want to go in there and just kind of cause chaos. But,
right.
But it's always funny looking at the Craigslist ads for that part of Maryland.
Well, that's not where this is. Craigslist sex trolling is not where I thought this show was going to go, but here we are, folks.
Funny shit.
All right, so a couple things that caught my eye I want to talk about, and that's this Idris Elba spy movie.
Seems to be a Jensen Ackles free show, so.
No, it's not, and I have the power to mute you, so don't test me. All right, we'll go to that first then. Huge announcement, folks, biggest of the year. Jensen Ackles, after Supernatural, is making a better choice than his Supernatural co-star.
Is that show gone yet?
See, this is why the world wants it to stay, because it would have been done by now, but coronavirus elongated it. So season 15 is ending in the latter half of the year. Jared Padalecki, his co-star on the show, has decided Walker Texas Ranger reboot would be good for him. I'm not really on board with that, but Jensen Ackles announced yesterday that he's going to be playing Soldier Boy in season 3 of The Boys. Now you've read all the books, right?
Yeah, I don't remember much about Soldier Boy.
Series. But Soldier Boy is he's basically a pansy-ass Captain America.
I remember a shot of him peeing on himself or something like that at one point.
Yeah, I had to use the cropped version of that in my article because there aren't many other pictures. But he's the leader of a group called Payback, which there's a bunch of superhero groups in the boys world, and he's the leader, but he's kind of a douche. Like he's very over the top. Like imagine Captain America if he was designed by Donald Trump. Like when they're fighting, he yells out states' names like Montana, and he's super patriotic in a really stupid way. But I think Ackles has some great comedic chops, and I think he's going to make it a lot of fun. It's not going to be a long-running character, but I still think it's better than Walker Texas Ranger reboots that his partner is doing. So, but no, the thing that I wanted to bring up was this Idris Elba spy movie. Now, admittedly, I didn't get to read the whole post we have up, but he's one guy that we've been talking about for James Bond for years.
Never going to happen.
Yeah, sadly, it probably won't. But I mean, he's got everything.
He's aged out of that role now. That's not going to happen.
He doesn't look any older than he did 10 years ago.
True.
Oh, you mean aged out for the future? Yeah. Okay, I can see that. But I am glad to see him because he's got the look and the swagger and the smoothness and everything to play a spy. So I'm just hoping that this movie he's coming in for is a solid spy movie.
It's set in Africa, and it's produced by Simon Kinberg, who is the guy who's basically been part of the X-Men franchise almost since the beginning as a producer and writer. So and Kinberg, the first film that really brought him to attention to people wasn't the X-Men. It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Right.
So he knows a thing or two about spy movies, and this is supposed to be a spy romance, sort of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So that makes it very interesting. Now, he's not writing or directing it, but he's producing it. I can't remember the guy who's directing it. But the fact that Kinberg's on board with it says something. He's also doing that spy movie, the all-female spy movie 355, Simon Kinberg. And I think he has written and directed that. That's the one with Jessica Chastain and I think Lupita Nyong'o and who else is in it? Fan Bingbing is in it. Fantastic cast. There's somebody else big in there too, another big name.
Yeah, what are the updates on that? Because I remember us talking about that initially, like back at the beginning of the year. Well, I guess there's a lot of stuff that's not getting updates right now since the beginning of the year. Yeah. You're
not getting a lot of updates on a lot of things right now, just because of everything that's been going on. So, but I think that actually has a release date, but I think it's sometime early next year, maybe. I don't remember.
So what else we got going on in the news world?
I don't know. You're the one that sent all the info to.
Oh, that's what you. Well, I mean, you want me to bring up. See, now if you talk about remakes of
I send it to you, but I don't hold it up here for me. Like I
didn't know that.
You're the one who usually calls this stuff out. So
right.
That's why I sent it to you.
Well, I got you then. I got you because when it comes to remakes and reboots of iconic movies, I am not always a fan. But this one I'm actually kind of interested in. So Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is being rebooted with Kevin Hart and Will Smith.
Yes.
Now, it's pretty much the opposite, at least in size, as the original, which was Steve Martin and John Candy. But I don't know why, I can see Kevin Hart playing a John Candy role. He's got the same energy, I think, to him, I think is what it is. But that's going to be, I'm honestly looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I've already heard the complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Remake everything gets remake. I mean, yeah, of course everything gets a remake, of course.
Right.
It's just the way it goes. If you're still, there's no point in complaining about that kind of thing anymore. Just what's the point, right?
Yeah.
What's the point? The way I feel about it is, I'm still gonna love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, no matter what the hell they do with this movie.
Well, that's the thing. They're not destroying the original.
My love of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
If this movie sucks or whatever,
right.
It's not gonna happen. So,
yeah.
Sorry.
Let's see what else we had.
But I think it's gonna be fun. Will Smith and Kevin Hart, no matter what roles they put him in, and frankly, I think it would be funnier if they put Will Smith in the John Candy role and Kevin Hart in the Steve Martin role.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be funnier to me because it's sort of, not what you expect.
Yeah.
You expect Kevin Hart to be in the annoying pest role. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it flipped, see how it works, but they probably won't do that. With those two, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be funny, right?
And have
the
we
only
seen
reason
Will Smith?
why people are down on it is because it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Right.
But if they just said we're casting Will Smith and Kevin Hart in a comedy,
all about it.
And you didn't, were there two people who were trying to get home for Thanksgiving, you'd be like, oh, that shit sounds really funny. Let's watch it. But we call it Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, people complain.
Yeah.
They probably won't even title it Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
No, it's just going to be.
They certainly won't.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting about switching the roles, but have we seen Will Smith in any kind of comedic roles? Am I missing something big other than like Spies in Disguise? Has he been in any real comedic roles in a long time?
No, comedy in a good little while, so it's good to see him back and doing that again.
MacGruber,
I'm looking forward to it.
MacGruber, you want to talk about? Were you a fan? So when I posted about MacGruber, one of the things I wrote was that I'd always been kind of surprised by the cult status it gained. I liked MacGruber when it came out, but it's the kind of stupid movie that I would love. A lot of people didn't like it.
MacGruber was one of those movies that we posted about a lot on the site because this was fairly close to, not long after we had started.
Mm-hmm.
So we posted a lot about MacGruber. I gave it a solid review. I didn't love it. I thought it was I liked it. It was funny enough. You liked it more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
We posted a lot about MacGruber back then.
No, I know we did, but I'm saying that the world at large, I'm surprised by the cult status it has now because, your review was probably on par with a lot, if not a little bit more favorable than most. That people reviews weren't kind to it, didn't do well at all. Yeah, but now, and I think part of that is due to, and I always mix him up with Will Forte. Where is he, Will Forte? What's MacGruber's name? I get him in. Are you not even gonna help me out here?
I mean, it's Will Forte, but I'm just
okay.
I'm just waiting to see what other name you were going to throw out.
Will Arnett is the other one I always mix him up with. They don't look alike at all, but
I knew you were thinking Will Arnett. I just wanted to see if that's who you came up with.
Yeah. So Will Forte has become much more appreciated in the years past than he was when that came out. So I mean that kind of explains some of it, but like to spawn a TV show again, I mean that's number one, a sign of its cult status, but number two, a sign that these streaming apps have content holes they need to fill.
Now that's the main thing, that there's so many streaming services now that there's a desperate need for content everywhere, especially right now where productions are largely halted.
Right.
But this announcement just kind of came out of nowhere too. Like there wasn't like some sort of thing where we like knew a MacGruber series is in the works. This just sort of came out of nowhere. Now people have been talking about trying to revive MacGruber for years, though, either as a movie sequel or some sort of show. So I guess it's not surprising in that regard. But I don't remember there being anything lately that's been like, hey, this is in the works. This is about to be an announcement. So
no, I
don't remember though, because I mainly gave that to you to do, so I didn't pay as much attention to it as I normally would.
Right.
So I don't remember though. Did they say who's writing and directing it and what network it's on? It's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock. Yeah, it's on Peacock, but they didn't say anything about writing and directing.
So it's on Peacock. At least be free.
Well, unless you don't want ads.
Is it Peacock free?
It's like Hulu's old model. It's ad-based free. There's 3 tiers. It's ad-based free, no ads, paid, and then like no ads premium, where you get more movies for third price.
Okay.
I think that's another one that I did my famous thing. I probably have 47 subscriptions now because every time one comes out, I'm like, well, yeah, I'll get the trial. If it's 30 days, 7 days. Never remember, and then the charge is too small for me to really notice it, and then next thing you know, I've got $450 a month in streaming fees.
Yeah, streaming fees are a bitch.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I need to go back through that again.
Heaven forbid if you'd be one of those people who gets
shut up
internet based on like usage.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, heaven forbid you're one of those people that can get movies and TV shows for free, but
that's too easy.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, you could probably I don't know when the MacGruber series is supposed to start, but I mean, you can probably get a screener of that and watch it. So. Yeah, we can probably at least get a couple episodes. I haven't put much effort in getting a lot of free stuff, like free screenings and stuff for the show. No, I'm starting to get better at it. But since usually all I ever did was just go to the screenings themselves. But I'm starting to get better at it in the world of COVID, to ask for things. I can't always get. I don't know. These last few months, I think we probably talked about it before. I know it's been a real test for some critics out there to kind of stay up on things, and some of them are really falling off by the wayside. We get more requests for contacts now than ever before.
Yeah, well, you can tell who just sat around and I'm not judging because this was me. Unless I saw something I really wanted to see on Netflix or something, this was totally me. But you can tell who was just sitting by waiting for their weekly email and just responding to their weekly email, and who was actually going out there to hit the ground running and get things done.
Right, and we get, every day on like the WAFCA board is just, anybody got a contact for this? I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I got one, and on occasion,
right,
I'll do that. I'll be like, yeah, I got one, because I have most contacts, right?
Right.
I have most contacts at this point. So I usually be like, yeah, I'll give one, but I'll never post that joint on the board for everybody to see.
No, because part of you wants everybody else to do the same legwork you had to do, right?
Yes. Go fucking talk to people.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. It's not that
Well,
hard.
for some of the folks,
you gotta reach out. Like, they're not just gonna give you a movie. You think I haven't already reached out about New Mutants? I've long since reached out about New Mutants.
Right.
Because I know.
And the beautiful thing is,
that, man.
And this is some inside baseball for any aspiring critics out there. The beauty part of it is a lot of these PR guys, well, all of them, the PR guys and girls are extremely nice, extremely accommodating. And once you reach out once, they'll reach out to you. And I've got some that even know the preferences and call me for specific things.
I know, yeah. Word.
Yeah.
That's why I never understood why people get scared about reaching out to the contacts. Like, it's their job to spread the word.
Yeah.
Like, they want you to.
Well, some of them I know it's that they're scared of getting that response. You're not important enough for this. You don't get enough readers for this or whatever. But
and you know what? And you know what? Sometimes that shit happens. It happens to me too on occasion.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you're not gonna get everything.
I just give them your name and then I get whatever I want.
It's a big fucking deal. If you didn't ask, you weren't gonna get that shit anyway.
Right.
So what's the big deal?
What are you gonna do?
At least you made contact and your name is out there to these people. So when you reach out for the next thing, you might get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the way I look at it. I'd never be afraid to ask for something. In fact, I always ask. Even if I'm not gonna do it myself, I ask it for one of you.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, anybody that works in PR in the DC area knows that about us from 2008 to 2010. We were probably the most annoying two people for PR people around here, where we were trying to get on press lists, but we got there. We got there. We got it done. So
yeah, we did, and now there's a whole bunch of other people who are far worse than we probably were. So
probably, yeah.
They're probably far worse at this than at begging to be on the press list than we were back in the day.
Yeah, we had decorum.
It was a long time ago, man.
God, wasn't it? What? Yeah. Oh, God.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even like talking about that because then I just realize how much time has passed and I want to throw myself down a flight of stairs. But I think that's all we have.
You didn't have a wife and kid back then. You were
nope.
You were living life, man.
I was technically. I hadn't even met my wife when I went to my first screening.
No, you hadn't, because I think I remember when she came to the first screening.
Yeah. And now I'm married. I'm about to have my 10-year anniversary. I got 2 kids. Got a job I hate like every other adult. What are you going to do?
Life is over, man. Your life is over. You don't even know it.
This has been an uplifting show.
That's why you're here with me struggling to build a website that's been around for 12 years.
Right. This has been an uplifting Tuesday show. Thank you for that, Travis. From start to finish. I appreciate it.
You know what else we got? We got news on Tron 3.
Tron 3, yep.
Tron
this
3.
Is not Jude Law, Jared Leto, right?
Jared Leto.
I don't know names.
It's Jared Leto. He's been attached to this thing for like 3 years, because I remember posting about it. But I thought the project was dead. Like, I thought it was dead. In fact, it probably was dead.
Right.
Because Disney didn't make a ton off Tron Legacy. Like, it did okay. It did $400 million.
But they did make. I didn't even think they made money, so they made something on it.
They made $400 million. I mean, but the movie cost a lot.
Right.
So they probably broke even, if anything. They probably lost a little.
Right.
But so that's why they just kind of put it on ice for. I mean, Jesus, it's been 10 years. That movie's 10 years old.
Right.
So the movie was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to continue feeling old, John.
Oh no, I don't. That's why I'm walking away. No, I'm just kidding. I had to grab something.
Tron Legacy is 2010.
Good Lord. Do you remember Olivia Wilde's look in that movie? Oh, that was
yes.
amazing.
Remember how hot she was in that movie?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. That black bob cut or whatever you call it. I'm not a hairstylist, but it was awesome.
The movie ended on them escaping and being out in the real world. Makes me wonder if they're going to pick up on that or not.
I don't even remember how it ended, but yeah, now that you mention it, I do remember that.
Yeah. But the movie was on ice for a long time. They did a short-lived animated series that came out after that. I think it was Tron Uprising. They were going to do a live-action show with John Ridley, the guy who wrote 12 Years a Slave, and they axed it. But now this third movie is back on, but it's clearly not the same movie that Joseph Kosinski has wanted to do, the guy who directed the last one. It's clearly not the same movie he's going to do. It's clearly going to be something new. This one's going to be directed by Garth Davis, who directed The Lion, which is that movie that was Best Picture nominee a few years ago.
The four terrorists one?
Dev Patel.
So it was like a comedy about four terrorists? No, that's Four Lions.
That's Four Lions. That's different. This is the drama with Dev Patel, Rooney Mara, and I think Nicole Kidman.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
So he directed that, and he's taken us on. It's a really unusual choice. I mean, not the kind of director you would expect to do something like this. But I'm curious. So it looks like it's going to focus on Jared Leto's character. Now, I remember the Jared Leto character, and they said that he accidentally blurred out the name of the movie, which has his character's name in it. I totally forgot. It's totally just totally forgot about it. I remember that character was going to be in the movie that Joseph Kosinski had wanted to do. So clearly they like some elements of that because they're bringing him over to be in this. So what we're going to see about it, it's hard for me to get excited about Tron because I don't love the original Tron from the 80s. It's okay. And I don't love Tron Legacy either. Like, it's a beautiful freaking movie. Like, it's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I'd love to watch it on my TV now.
Yeah.
Rather than whenever I watch it, I guess I watched it on the big screen in 2010. But
well, that's what Tron's predicated on, though, right? I mean, it's the same as Avatar. Like, it's a great concept, but I don't think it's ever been executed properly. But it looks amazing. In 1982, when the first one came out, it was like nothing anybody had ever seen. And then Tron Legacy, they just upped the ante with all the new tech, and it looked amazing. But I don't think it has the potential even to capture that concept in the proper way.
It doesn't have. Look, let's be honest. The movie's gonna fail. Tron 3 is going to fail the same way virtually every one of these niche sci-fi movies that have come out over the last 20 years have failed.
Right.
Because, and we've talked about this before. We talked about it with Blade Runner 2049. We've talked about it with just about every Alien prequel that Ridley Scott has done over the last few years.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. They have niche audiences, very niche audiences, and they don't attract casual. They don't.
No,
and Tron definitely won't.
No.
Tron definitely does not. Even less so than Blade Runner and Alien, which at least have some sort of iconic status to them. Some sort of name value that Tron simply does not carry. And it's not going to. That's the reason why Tron Legacy didn't do as well as it probably should have.
Right.
You know, because the audience basis for it is pretty small.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I guarantee you that audience has shrunk over the last 10 years.
Oh, 100%. But Tron's iconic, but in terms of actual fans, I mean, you're talking about
It's not iconic for being great, though.
Right.
Tron is not a great movie.
It's iconic for its look, right?
No.
Or what are you thinking?
No, I mean, I would agree with that. It's memorable because it was different than anything else anybody had seen at the time.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, and you got to think back in 1982, it was a very different world when it came to this kind of stuff. They might have had their fans, but the nostalgia fan base that has their kids watch it and all this, it wasn't widespread. I mean, that's what brings things like Star Wars. Tron was a geeks movie. You know, Star Wars
at the height of the video game era. I mean,
right.
You know,
I mean,
when Pac-Man and games like that were king.
Yeah.
That's when it came out.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't understand even wanting to bring it back. I can't imagine that Jared Leto is a huge fan of Tron.
It's
but
another one of those really bad Jared Leto movies. Jared Leto makes a lot of shitty movies. Jared Leto is not. I know he's got an Oscar nomination for Dallas Buyers Club. Jared Leto, he ain't no good actor, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, and his nomination was he was fine in that movie, but there wasn't much to his performance other than acting catty and putting on a dress. I mean, I don't think he really gave a lot into that.
If that movie came out now, he wouldn't get a nomination for it. In fact, if he had done that role now, he'd probably get complaints.
He'd get canceled, yeah, because for having him run it.
He'd probably get complaints.
For sure. I have no doubt.
He'd get recast.
Yeah.
That's what would happen. But I have no faith in him doing anything.
Just period. I have no faith in him doing anything. Period.
I just don't. There's very little from Jared Leto that I've seen where I'm like, damn, I'm really excited for that Jared Leto movie. Like those words have never come out of my mouth until just now. I mean, even something like Requiem for a Dream, he's great in that, no doubt. But he's such a punchable personality. Like I can't ever see him in some, like, you know what, I lied, because I am somewhat, I don't know if it's excited or curious to see him as Morbius. See, here's the thing about Morbius. I would be more excited about that movie if almost anybody was cast in that lead role.
But him?
Yeah, and I know that sounds like a total knock on him, but it's not just that. It's just, there's something about Leto where I think he's kind of branded this offbeat persona, but it's never translated into him being like a bankable star.
No,
It's never done that. It's never done that. So when studio execs or casting agents are like, "Hey, I want to cast Jared Leto," I already know, well, what's wrong with the character right now.
Why can't you get somebody else, right?
What's up with the character that you feel like Jared Leto's right for it? It's like his one character in because he's in Blade Runner 2049. What does he do? He plays an oddball, like the one guy who's blind.
Oh yeah.
He's like this blind, secretive mastermind and blinder. And you're like, oh yeah, so he's playing another oddball role. Suicide Squad. Oh well, his Joker can't be like the Joker everybody knows. It's got to be the thuggish Joker.
Yeah.
That he's been working on for himself. It's like,
can't
he just be the fucking Joker?
The reject from the early '90s Nintendo game.
Can't he just be the Joker, please? No. And I'm not even one of those people that I actually kind of defend his Joker. But would I prefer to see the Joker? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But Jared Leto can't do that. So
no.
I know that when he's playing Morbius, I'm like, well.
He just seems very pretentious, and that's what it's about.
What's going to be up with this Morbius?
Yeah, like he has to have his.
Like Morbius, because Jared Leto has been cast in it, already 50% of Venom gross.
You know what I don't like, Travis? I don't like when I'm excited for something, and then you make a lot of sense, and I'm no longer excited for it. That's not something I like. I don't like doing that.
I'm just gonna hope that Jared Leto is not like the lead character, even though the movie is named after his character.
Yeah. It kind of frames it that he might not be, but because it seems like it's a search for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna hope that he's really like a side character, and that somebody else is the main character. Oh
shit, we are at 60 seconds now until our 1 hour mark before YouTube screws us up. So we got to get out of here. Next week.
Fast hour.
Yeah, it was a really fast hour actually. Next week we have the Sleepover, Tesla. What else we got?
Cutthroat City.
Oh, that's right.
Charm City Kings. Peninsula, which is the Train to Busan sequel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Love Train to Busan.
Last stuff out this week.
Cool.
Unhinged, the first movie back in theaters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because AMC is opening some theaters this weekend for 15 cents a ticket. So if you don't value your house, go for it. But we are Punch Drunk Critics. PunchDrunkCritics.com is where you can get all this news and more every single day. Keep an eye out for us there. Travis is at Punchy Critic on Twitter and at Cinematic_Enforcer on Twitch. I'm at PunchDrunkJohn, and I tweeted once last week. At PC Movies is the site Twitter, so follow us in all our places. Click the link. Be a friend. And for Cinema Royale, we're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Later.